It's fascinating to think about turning something others have given up on, say, a dilapidated hotel or maybe a frozen-over ice rink that's been unusable for years into, well, a gleaming success story.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of the world we're stepping into today.
That's the kind of transformation we're going to be digging into.
We're taking a focused look at Trump, the art of the deal, to really understand um, the core principles that powered Donald Trump's early business ventures.
Right.
Think of this as getting the essence of his foundational approach without, having to read every single page.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially for you, the listener, who's maybe looking to gain that knowledge efficiently. We're going to pull out the key insights into how he approached deal making, assessed risk, and crucially, how he envisioned and executed those early successes.
And our source material gives us a pretty fantastic cross-section of this. We'll be exploring his formative years, his initial steps in the, let's say, very competitive New York real estate market,
Hmm.
those landmark projects like the Grand Hyatt and Trump Tower, and even some of his forays beyond traditional property.
Like the Woolman Rink.
Exactly. The Woolman Rink renovation
Yeah.
and his time with the USFL. These examples really put his core ideas into action.
So our goal today is to really get to the heart of what this book describes as the art of the deal, especially as it took shape in Donald Trump's early career. We're going to see how elements like creative thinking, strategic maneuvering, and that essential resilience all came together. What strikes you first about that?
Well, what's immediately interesting is the idea presented that business triumph isn't just, like, accidental.
Right, not just luck.
No, the book lays out a framework suggesting it's a deliberate skill set built on ingenuity, carefully planned strategy, and a definite tenacity, that ability to bounce back and, keep pushing.
Makes you want to look closer at the how.
It really does. Makes you want to delve deeper into the specific methods employed.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. The book tells us Donald Trump's story began in Queens, New York, not amidst the Manhattan skyline we often associate with him, back in 1946.
Right, out in boroughs.
He grew up in a household where business was, well, a constant presence. His father, Fred Trump, was a real estate developer focused on building affordable housing out there. It sounds like he was immersed in that world from the get-go.
That's a key point the book makes. The narrative emphasizes that his upbringing was thoroughly grounded in the world of business. His father is portrayed as a strong figure who instilled in him the significance of hard work,
Mhm.
the importance of making firm decisions, and crucially, the subtleties of negotiation. That early immersion, while it would have been incredibly influential.
And it wasn't just talk, was it? Apparently, the young Donald Trump got direct experience early on, actually accompanying his father to construction sites.
Yeah, getting his hands dirty, so to speak.
That must have provided him with a very practical, sort of on-the-ground understanding of the industry.
Absolutely. That firsthand exposure to the practicalities, the nuts and bolts of the construction business would have given him a real working knowledge, something that, complemented his later formal education.
Theory versus practice.
Exactly. It's one thing to study theory, it's quite another to see it applied in the real world day in, day out.
Which brings us to his time at Wharton Business School. He graduated in 1968 and then joined his father's company. Now, Fred Trump had built a successful operation,
Definitely successful, yeah.
but the book makes it pretty clear that the younger Trump had much larger ambitions. He wasn't content with the scale of those existing projects in the outer boroughs.
Exactly right. While starting within the family enterprise provided, a solid foundation, the book highlights his drive to expand beyond those parameters. He wanted to tackle much more ambitious ventures.
Aiming higher.
It suggests he wasn't just learning how to run a business. He was actively envisioning operating on a much larger stage and, frankly, with a different kind of project in mind.
Then we see a pivotal shift, right? Early 1970s, Donald Trump turns his attention to Manhattan. Totally different, far more competitive environment than his father's work.
Huge difference, big leagues.
And this is where the renovation of the Commodore Hotel in 1973, which became the Grand Hyatt, really stands out. It seems like his first major entry into that high-stakes Manhattan market.
And what's really compelling there, I think, is the element of seeing potential where others might have just seen, well, a rundown hotel.
Yeah, overlooked it.
He identified an opportunity in a property that likely many had dismissed, successfully negotiating that deal, involving the city too, and then transforming it
Into the Grand Hyatt.
into a prestigious establishment, yeah. That really signaled his arrival in Manhattan and illustrated a core aspect of his early thinking. recognizing hidden value and sort of reimagining what could be.
And there's that really telling quote from him reflecting on this time. I do it because I like it. Deals are my art form. What does that suggest to you, beyond just making money?
That's an incredibly insightful statement, isn't it? It implies a deep personal connection to the act of deal-making itself. Almost like
The passion.
yeah, it elevates it beyond simple commerce to a form of creative expression. This kind of intrinsic drive likely fueled his relentless pursuit of opportunities and probably his willingness to tackle these really difficult undertakings.
The book definitely emphasizes that those early experiences taught him crucial lessons about persistence, not giving up,
Tenacity.
about the necessity of taking calculated risks, and about the sheer toughness required to succeed in such a competitive industry. It wasn't just having a good idea, it was about having the resilience to actually make it happen.
Precisely. Those formative years laid the groundwork for his fundamental approach, identifying untapped worth and then strategically utilizing existing resources, contacts, whatever, to generate new possibilities.
Seeing what others don't.
It's about perceiving what isn't immediately obvious and having the boldness, really, to act on that perception.
Okay, moving into the mid-1970s, the book portrays Trump actively searching for an opportunity that would truly define his presence in Manhattan.
Making his mark.
Yeah, and the story of the Commodore Hotel leading to the Grand Hyatt really serves as that initial symbol of his evolving approach, this combination of aiming for luxury and a certain audaciousness.
Yes. The Grand Hyatt wasn't just about updating a building, it was a deliberate statement. It indicated a move towards a more exclusive market and, importantly, a readiness to engage in complex, high-profile projects.
Building credibility.
Absolutely. It established a track record of successful transformation that would be essential for future, even larger-scale ambitions.
And that leads us, naturally, to the early 1980s and the truly pivotal development of Trump Tower.
Landmark project.
The book highlights how he secured that incredibly valuable location on Fifth Avenue and, remarkably, obtained a $100 million loan. That must have been a significant endorsement of his vision at the time, right?
Oh, absolutely. Securing that level of financing for such an ambitious undertaking, especially in that fiercely competitive environment, well, it speaks volumes.
About his reputation.
His growing reputation, yeah, and his
Yeah.
capacity to convince others of his plans. It demonstrates that it wasn't just about having an innovative concept. It was equally about persuading the financial world, the banks, to actually invest in it.
And there's another quote in the book where he reflects on Trump Tower. Trump Tower symbolized the things I wanted to do to create something that would stand out on the city skyline.
That really underscores the scale of ambition we've been discussing, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
It wasn't simply about constructing another building.
No, not at all. It was about crafting an iconic landmark, something that would leave a lasting visual impact. This aspiration to create something truly exceptional seems to have been a fundamental driving force for him.
And the book makes it clear that this project involved far more than just, bricks and mortar.
Oh, much more.
It entailed identifying and seizing opportunities inherent in that specific location, maximizing its potential value, and skillfully managing relationships with a whole array of stakeholders.
Bankers, contractors.
Investors, city officials maybe,
Mhm.
to secure the necessary funding. It's like a complex web of interconnected elements.
Exactly. And his skill, as presented in the book, in cultivating and leveraging those relationships was absolutely crucial.
The networking piece.
It highlights the vital role of networking and persuasive communication in bringing these large, complex deals to fruition. He was essentially selling a vision, right?
Yeah.
And he needed a network of partners to help make it tangible.
The book also strongly suggests the importance of both timing and decisive action in the real estate industry.
Critical.
And it portrays Trump as someone willing to act swiftly when opportunities arose, which apparently gave him a distinct advantage sometimes.
That proactive approach, yeah. Seizing opportunities, even when faced with uncertainty or skepticism from others, appears to be a recurring characteristic described.
Confidence in his gut.
It suggests a significant degree of confidence in his own judgment and a willingness to be decisive in a market where, let's face it, hesitation can be very costly.
So as we move deeper into the 1980s, we see Trump evolving beyond just a successful real estate developer into more of a public figure known for a very distinctive, maybe even unconventional business approach.
Definitely becoming more visible.
And the story of the Woolman Rink renovation in Central Park in 1986 is just a perfect illustration of this, isn't it?
It really is.
The city had struggled with the project for 7 years,
7 years, imagine.
and he stepped in and completed it in just 6 months, ahead of schedule and under budget. The contrast is, well, quite stark.
It's a remarkable example of his methodology in action, as the book portrays it, where
Yeah.
bureaucratic processes and perhaps a lack of decisive leadership had resulted in years of delays.
Right.
Trump came in with a clear vision and the determination to execute it efficiently. It really underscores the idea of taking charge and driving a project forward
Getting it done.
to a successful conclusion. Yeah.
And he has that intriguing reflection on the Woolman Rink. Sometimes, although not often, less is more. What's your take on what he meant by that, specifically there?
Well, in this instance, it likely refers to the idea of simplifying the process, cutting through unnecessary bureaucracy
Get tape.
and focusing on getting the essential work done effectively without overcomplication or delays. It suggests a direct, very results-oriented approach, even if his broader public persona might sometimes lean towards a more, shall we say, maximalist philosophy.
Interesting contrast. The book also emphasizes that his business strategy wasn't solely about mitigating risk.
No, not just playing it safe.
It was actively about identifying and capitalizing on opportunities. He was apparently managing multiple large-scale projects simultaneously: Trump Tower, various hotels, casinos,
Juggling a lot.
and even his venture into the USFL in the early 1980s. That USFL endeavor, while ultimately not successful in the long run,
Right, it folded.
it's still presented in the book as a bold move into an entirely different industry: sports.
Precisely. While the USFL didn't achieve its original objectives, the book frames it as a valuable learning experience.
Lessons learned.
Yeah, in the realms of competition and the importance of perseverance, even when facing significant setbacks. It demonstrates a willingness to explore diverse avenues and not limit himself just to real estate.
And throughout all these varied ventures, the book consistently highlights Trump's emphasis on maintaining control.
Yes, that comes through strongly.
He believed in being actively involved in the crucial decision-making processes, rather than, delegating everything away.
That hands-on approach really underscores his confidence in his own judgment, doesn't it? And his desire to maintain direct oversight of all the critical elements of his projects.
A specific leadership style?
It speaks to a leadership style that values direct engagement and perhaps ultimate accountability resting with him.
And there's another key principle highlighted. The most important thing is to deliver the goods. Considering his overall business philosophy as it's presented here, how significant is that focus on tangible results?
Oh, it appears to be absolutely fundamental, foundational even.
The bottom line.
Yeah, ultimately, regardless of the grand vision or the skillful negotiations, the ultimate measure of success, in his view as presented, seems to be the concrete outcome actually delivering the promised product or service.
Ranking it real.
This relentless focus on results likely fueled his efficiency and his determination to overcome any obstacles that got in the way.
So by the late 1980s, the book suggests that he had evolved into more than just a deal maker. He'd become a strategic thinker, someone capable of navigating complex challenges and often emerging even stronger.
Yeah, learning and adapting.
And it also points out the increasing intertwining of his personal and professional life, each decision contributing to his growing public profile and, well, his legacy.
That integration of his personal brand with his business activities is a really defining characteristic described in the book.
You can't separate them.
It seems that way. Every deal, every project contributed not only to his financial success, but also to shaping his public image and overall reputation. They were kind of mutually reinforcing.
So as we sort of reflect on this overview of his early career, what would you say is the central lesson regarding the art of the deal as it's portrayed in these initial chapters we've touched on?
The primary takeaway seems to be that mastering the art of the deal, according to this account, requires a powerful combination.
Like West.
Having a clear and ambitious vision, first off, then the strategic thinking to identify and pursue the right opportunities, Add to that the resilience to bounce back from inevitable setbacks.
Crucial.
A proactive approach to actually seizing those opportunities, a strong emphasis on maintaining control over key aspects, and an unwavering commitment to decisive action, all leading to
Delivering the goods.
ultimately delivering those concrete results, yeah.
And the book really underscores the idea that success isn't just about closing one-off deals, right? It's about the long-term advantages.
Exactly. The long game. It's about the long-term advantages that come from maintaining control and making those calculated risks along the way. It's portrayed as an ongoing process of building and expanding.
Not just a single transaction.
No, it's presented as a dynamic process of identifying, negotiating, and executing deals in a way that not only achieves immediate goals, but also contributes to a larger long-term strategy for growth and influence.
So for you listening to this, maybe think about how you might apply some of these principles, or at least think about them in your own life.
Could be relevant in many areas.
Yeah, whether you're negotiating a salary, launching a new project, or just tackling a difficult challenge, perhaps approaching it with a bold vision, maybe a greater sense of control, and a willingness to take well-considered risks could make a difference.
Absolutely. The examples we've discussed, from the transformation of the Grand Hyatt to the sheer ambition of Trump Tower, and even that very practical, determined renovation of the Woolman Ring.
Yeah, the Rinks is a great example.
They offer practical illustrations of how these principles, as described, can be applied across diverse situations.
Okay, just to quickly recap the key elements for you, the listener. The art of the deal, as we've explored it today, based on these early career examples, really seems to boil down to having a compelling vision, thinking strategically about how to achieve it, being resilient when things inevitably don't go as planned,
Setbacks happen.
actively looking for and seizing opportunities, maintaining a firm grip on the key elements that control aspect, and making decisive moves to get things done.
And hopefully, by examining these significant examples from Donald Trump's early career, as detailed in the book, you've gained a more streamlined understanding of some fundamental principles that underpin business and negotiation.
Principles that could be valuable.
Yeah, principles that can be valuable in a wide range of fields and endeavors, regardless of the specific context.
Okay, so here's a final thought for you to consider as we wrap up. With the book emphasizing that success isn't just a matter of chance, not just luck, but a combination of various factors.
Right. Deliberate action.
What specific art do you need to cultivate in your own endeavors to move beyond maybe relying on luck and actively shape your desired outcomes?
That's a really important question to reflect on, isn't it?
Yeah.
It encourages a shift from passively sort of waiting for things to happen to actively developing the skills and the mindset necessary to create your own opportunities and successes.
Because, as Trump, the art of the deal illustrates through this journey from a young, ambitious businessman in Queens to a major figure in real estate.
It's quite a trajectory.
The pursuit of success is presented as a constantly evolving interplay. It's about recognizing and seizing opportunities, building strong relationships, and crucially, navigating the inherent risks involved.